Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Jenn Pike, your host. I am a functional medicine diagnostic nutritionist, and I specialize in women's health and hormones. I'm also a medical exercise specialist, and in both areas of my life, whether it is in fitness or it is specifically helping women in a clinical setting with their health and their hormones, thyroid is a huge one. And over the last 15 years, I have been working with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, when I look at this from a group program perspective, connecting with people on the podcast, at in-person workshops, teaching as part of conferences all around thyroid health. And one of the biggest areas of frustration is the incomplete testing that is offered and provided to most people who suspect they have a thyroid issue going on or who actually do have a thyroid issue. They have been previously diagnosed, and this could be years, decades ago, that you were told that you had an underactive thyroid. That's more commonly what the situation I'm talking about will be, is that it was an underactive thyroid. You might have even been put on medication for it, but no continual observation, testing, management of that medication has actually been done over the last years or decades, and your symptom picture hasn't really changed all that much in terms of improving. It also may not have gotten any worse, but when we're talking about symptoms that are connected to thyroid, you may not realize some of the symptoms that you are feeling, some of the struggles that you might feel like are creeping up on you are actually connected to the thyroid. And if the testing is incomplete and you aren't having regular testing done, we could be missing this window, this opportunity to catch things when they're suboptimal in your body, as opposed to waiting for it to feel like the floor has fallen out from underneath you. If we look at the typical medical model, the typical care model for thyroid right now, if you go into your primary care practitioner and you request a thyroid test, they will say, sure, no problem, and they will run usually a singular test. In my experience, it will be TSH that is run without any issue. Now, TSH is your thyroid stimulating hormone. It is actually produced in the pituitary gland in the brain that then shuttles on over and knocks on the thyroid's door and stimulates the thyroid to then be producing free T4 and free T3. Majority of what it is producing out of those two is free T4, and that then has to be shuttled down to the liver, and the gut and some other visceral have some action in this as well to then convert more of this hormone, T4, into the metabolically active thyroid hormone, free T3. And this is what the majority of the receptors on cells throughout your entire body are waiting for things like not just metabolic function, body temperature, hair growth, mood, so many different factors, your heart rate, your cognition. Your thyroid is so integral to your entire body's health, vitality, function, and well-being. But the problem is that if all you get tested is your TSH, and that comes back in the medically, classified lab range as being fine, even though you could feel anything but fine, everything else gets brushed to the sidelines. Now, you might have been able to get your free T4 tested, and if that comes back fine and your TSH is fine, your doctors won't push for anything deeper. So I want to talk to you today about the test, and I'm going to give you like the most ideal scenario, the Cadillac of test request. And then I'm going to give you the ones that I would really fight for to have as like the core 5 minimum basic thyroid test to be run. Okay. So if you're, somebody listening and you're like, yeah, I've had my TSH tested. I've had my free T4 tested, but I still have these symptoms of depression and anxiety. I still have, stress. I still am cold all the time. I have constipation. My hair is falling out. I'm noticing skin changes. I really can't lose weight. My ability to be able to work out and recover is just not there. I mean, there's so many different things that our thyroid could be impacting. I'm going to ask you to really sit down and sit up tall and to open up your ears and be curious and just listen to some of the things that I'm going to recommend. Most doctors are going to say no to the full gamut and the foundational 5 that I am going to talk to you about. But I want you to know there's ways that you can circumvent this. So if your doctor says, no, I can't run those tests because everything came back fine with your TSH and your free T4, you can say this, okay, I would like to pay out of pocket for the additional test. They can still say no. Then what you can do is you can actually go online, and there's various labs where you can go and you can pay out of pocket to go and order those. Now, you're going to need to do this with a lab who either has a signing medical doctor that's on staff, or you work with a team like us where we become your practitioner and we work with labs all over the world to be able to help patients get and fill in the gaps of the blood work or additional functional testing and chemistry of their body so that we actually know what it is that we are dealing with. The issue with just getting TSH done and even free T4 is that thyroid physiology is more than just the gland. The symptoms and the physiology all come down to what's happening on a cellular level. Even when you go to an endocrinologist, right, who are meant to be the specialist when it comes to things like thyroid, this is like in the holistic health industry and functional medicine, we call it like the 10-year pause. Right now, many of us are talking about this, and doctors and endocrinologists are calling us crazy and being like, that's ridiculous. There's no literature, there's no studies to prove that, which in fact is 100% actually not true. You could go onto PubMed and type in PMID and really start to look deeper into the physiology, the cellular physiology of the thyroid gland and thyroid health. So what we're looking for is if we start to see things off suboptimally with your free T4 and your free T3, okay, you're out of the ranges, you're sitting in the low end or the high end, that is actually a warning sign. That's a sign that things are starting to get a little stressed in that area, getting a little sluggish or a little hyperstimulated. And that means we need to get in and we actually need to now support and nurture the body before this becomes a full-blown issue. If we aren't looking at things like thyroid antibodies, if we aren't looking at things that happen in the periphery, as opposed to just waiting for it to all show up inside of the thyroid gland, that's when we can end up with some different things going on where now you may end up needing medication. And I'm not saying medication, like look at, my mom has a thyroid issue. My sister has a thyroid issue. My sister-in-law has a thyroid issue. 2 of the 3 are on medication. My sister was diagnosed with Hashimoto's over a decade ago and is in full remission. But my mom is somebody who will need to be on thyroid medication for the rest of her life. Same with my sister-in-law. So I'm very grateful when we have those interventions. However, taking the pill on its own is not going to be the thing that actually supports and manages the thyroid. It's our lifestyle. It's like bringing our lifestyle right upside next to it to make sure that our body can actually utilize the medication in the best way and is actually being supported in many other ways in our life. So let's start to dive into what I would say would be like the full panel. So we do want to measure your TSH. We want to look at your T3 uptake. We want to look at your T3, like your total T3, your free T3, your free T4, your total T4, your reverse T3, your thyroid peroxidase antibody, so this would be TPO in your blood work, and thyroglobulin antibody, which would be your TGAB, okay? That would be like the full gamut. Now, what I actually really love to see as well when we are running this thyroid panel is that it is not only just the thyroid. If we're gonna run blood work and chemistry, we wanna look at the full picture. So we wanna look at your complete hematology report. We wanna look at your liver enzymes. We would wanna look at your glucose. We would wanna be looking at your minerals. We'd wanna look at triglycerides, cholesterol picture overall, high sensitivity, C-reactive protein, B12 if we can get it, your vitamin D. There'd be a whole slew of things that we're looking at. Today, we're focusing and dialing right in on thyroid specifically, but I bring this up because I want you to understand that nothing in our body is in a silo. If you have a thyroid issue, you do not just have a thyroid issue. There are other mechanisms and things that are going on. Did this actually start because of things that were going on in your adrenals and your nervous system? Did this start because there's low-grade inflammation? Did it start because there's something going on in the gut? Did it start because there is some toxicity in your system? Did it start because you went through something extremely traumatic? Did it start when you were pregnant or postpartum thyroiditis? There's so many different things going on. Now, the other thing is that if you could only get the 5 core, the 5 foundationals, and what I would want that to be would be your TSH, your free T4, your free T3, and your 2 thyroid antibodies, okay? TGAB and your TPO. Now, if we could get the reverse T3 on top of that, that would also be fantastic. Obviously, getting the entire thing would be great, but if I could only get those 5 as a practitioner, it is going to help me just peel back a deeper layer. It's going to help me, instead of just scratching the surface with TSH, it's like surface 1 TSH. Okay, tells me a little bit, but not much. T4 and T3 into that. All right, I just got another layer back. Now you're going to give me the antibodies in there. Whew, now I'm going to understand how your immune system is being impacted or impacting what is going on with your thyroid. And then when we get the additional testing, it's just like if we're looking at something like iron, we do not just look at hemoglobin. We do not just look at ferritin. We look at multiple factors. And this is the thing. This is the difference. If you are working with a practitioner or your primary care doctor right now, where it is the basics of the basics of the basics, and you're not satisfied and you do not feel any better, any different, you don't feel any more empowered, you definitely don't feel any more educated, that is when you need to step outside of the conventional medical model. You are going to have to pay out of pocket for that. This is the thing that we have to realize. It's like, and I say this very lovingly, because look, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't work for a company. I don't have like all the benefits and all of that. I pay out of pocket for everything that has to do with my health. And I prioritize that like it is my number one value in my health. Because if I don't have my health, I don't have anything. If I don't have my health, I can't be the mom that I want to be. I can't be the wife, the partner, the business owner, the educator. I can't do things like this if I do not have my own personal health. And so I value that. And we'll say things like, well, I don't have the money for that. But we have money to go and have the latest and greatest edition of this, which this one clearly is not the latest and greatest. I don't even know what this is. I think it's like an iPhone X. I think we're on to like the iPhone 17 at this point. All of those things, you know what I'm talking about, but we prioritize and we justify that has value and that's important. There is nothing more important than the body, the vehicle of life that you are living in. I cannot stress this enough. Go back, listen to this again. We're going to write these tests out for you as well. So my full gamut list that I went through, and then my foundational 5. This is the dream team, and this is like you will also do. Okay. And it's about peeling back those layers. Now, if you are looking for a functional team and practitioner to work with, please reach out to myself and to my team. Make sure that you subscribe here so you do not miss another episode. And I'm going to tell you something. The research, the data, the literature, the education, it is changing all the time. So you and I are having this conversation, and I'm teaching you about this right now in this year at this time. And in a few years, guess what? I guarantee you there's going to be more information that's coming about. So it's not about being dogmatic. It's not about like being, in this linear cement of this is the only way that it is. If you were diagnosed many years ago and you're not feeling better and you're looking for an alternative, you are looking for another set of eyes and a sounding board to just open you up to something else possible that could make you feel that much better today, you deserve that and you're worth that. So reach out to us 2 ways. JennPike.com, you'll see the Simplicity Women's Wellness Clinic. You can head up on over there. The other way is you can reach out to us directly, hello@JennPike.com. And again, make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, that's it for today. As always, wishing you more simplicity and more ease in all that you do. Have a fantastic rest of your day.